Well, hey everybody, it's Sandy and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health one topic at a time. So I've got a product review for you guys today and it's another N95 by Demetech. Yeah, so first of all, I want to say thank you and welcome. I see I've got some new subscribers and thank you to those of you who have been with me longer. And I want to say thank you also. Some of you guys have reached out to various manufacturers to put them in touch with me if there are items that you guys want to review. As you guys know, I do this channel as a public service and largely I've had to buy things out of my own pocket. Actually, the Demetech is one of them. So this has not been given to me, gifted to me by the manufacturer for review or by a retailer of any kind. I've just bought this out of my own pocket. But I have noticed that several retailers have reached out to me at the behest of some of my viewers, and it really does help out because doing this out of my own pocket, it's always helpful if I can get somebody to send me some of the products to review, especially when it comes to something like respirators, which are pretty expensive. All right, so without further ado, I'll get on to talking about the Demetech N95. So I did a video a short while back. I called it a prerequisite conversation for N95s versus respirators. I'm going to link that video right here. And if you haven't had a chance to look at that and you find that you have any questions while I'm doing this video, you might want to go ahead and look at that one as well. So suffice it to say the Demetech N95 did meet all the criteria I talked about for one that I will look at, namely that it is an NIOSH approved, NIOSH approved N95 respirator. I was able to find that on the cdc.gov website, and I will try to put a link to that down below in the description box. So with Demetech, their DT N95 is the model name, and they do come in two different sizes. There's a regular and a small, and when I looked at it, knowing my face size and everything, I decided to try the small. So this box is a box of 20 small respirators. It is a 5-layer respirator that has to meet the NIOSH criteria, which is at least 95% particulate filtration at 0.3 microns. Now, according to Aaron Collins' test, and I have referred you guys over to Aaron Collins' channel, he says that this is about a 98.6% filtration. He calls this really a KN95 with a head strap. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that that's why I'm grateful for that NIOSH approval, because it takes a lot of the guesswork. We don't all have the kind of equipment that Aaron has, but it takes the guesswork out of what you're getting because there is a certain amount of standardization and accountability and third-party testing, etc. Of course, that all comes at a price. It's typically reflected in the price. An N95 will typically run about $4 an item as opposed to something like a KN95 or a KF94 coming from overseas. I personally really value that level of accountability and standardization here. I will also caution that with even the KF94, which I know a lot of people like, the standard, even if you weren't concerned about standardization and accountability, because the South Korean government does have an accountability and a standardization similar to what we have with our NIOSH approval. I can't personally validate that for every given piece. I don't know what I'm getting. It's coming from somewhere else. I'm not fluent in Korean, etc. But their standard does allow for a certain amount of leak where the N95 does not. So the Demetech N95 respirator does sell on the manufacturer's Demetech website, and it sells $75 for a box of 20. So that's just under $4 per item. Demetech did give us a coupon code. It's Sandy-DIY, and that is for 15% off. And that's the same price whether you buy the regular or the small. Now on Armbrust's website, where we have a 20% off code, they also sell this respirator. Last I checked, the only thing they had was a 5-pack, so that's $19.95 for 5 of them. That comes out to be about $3.75 per. And then you have the additional 20% off because Armbrust gave us a 20% off code, which is Sandy20. Now, when you open the box, this is, as I said, a box of 20, and I have a lot less than 20 in here because I gave some away to my kids and stuff, but they come like this. They're not individually wrapped like the one I recently reviewed by Indiana Face Mask Company, but they do have, of course, their name on them, the NIOSH approval, obviously made in USA. Now, they do have a lot number on the box. And you can see that's right here. You know, anything that has this kind of standardization should have a lot number recorded because they should be doing quality assurance. I don't see that they put the lot number on the individual items like Indiana Face Mask Company did as well. I'm not saying that's a problem at all. It's just an observation. So the first thing when I opened it up, you know, it does feel and look like the polypropylene that it is. I'm trying to get the camera to focus so you can see that like square waffly weave. It does have a pretty soft head strap. It's a little bit thicker than the Indiana Face Mask Company's head strap that I reviewed. I haven't had a problem with either one of them, but this one is just a little bit thicker. And it does have an interesting nose piece. It has this added foam. Okay. And I think that might prove to be helpful for some people in getting a nice fit. So it doesn't come out as, I'm always a big fan of super long nose pieces. That's really the minority of masks or respirators have anything like that. I don't think I've seen anything like that in a respirator actually. And I've already talked about how you put this on, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it on for you. With an N95, what you want to do is put the top head strap on first and get that positioned, and then put in the bottom head strap, because the top is the one that's doing the work, and that has to get positioned first. So the first thing I like to do is try to get some conformity around the nose. I have said before, I have this unique problem where I have this concavity, these deep wells, like deep set eyes, and that is what makes for leak, and it's sort of a unique problem. It's a minority of us that have that problem. It creates its own challenges with leaks. So sometimes if there's something that's leaking for me, some people will say, oh, that doesn't leak at all for me. It's great. And I suspect this is why. Okay, so once you've got the top one, I would put it pretty high up because, you know, that's the beauty of an N95. In order to be an N95 respirator by US standards, a respirator must have a head strap, not an ear loop, okay? Because that's really been studied. It's the only way to have a zero tolerance for leak. And then after that top one is up, then you take the bottom one, and I just lay it down here. It's pretty snug right there. Some kinds are maybe big. If it's large, you can actually lift it up higher. You can actually cross them, whatever you need to do. It just shouldn't be like hanging loose. In my case, it's snug if I just leave it down at the neck. Now, I'm going to try to flatten this so it's not all twisted, because that'll start to, that annoys my skin if it's twisted here. So at a glance, it does feel like I would expect it to. It feels warm. I don't feel any areas where I'm feeling cool when I exhale. One thing that you do is, without pressing, because you don't want to press on it, you want to know how it's working without any pressure. You want to know how it's working all on its own. You can take a deep breath and put your hands around and see if you feel any exhale. So far I don't down there. Let's see about up top. I might up top. So I'm going to put some safety goggles on here, and let's see. Now, I try to be careful not to slide glasses or safety goggles underneath these straps. I don't want to do anything that's going to adversely affect that fit. So I just put them on top so you can see they go, it's going crossing in front of that strap. I am getting some, well, I'm getting some pretty good fog there. So let's see if, one thing I did with the Indiana face mask is I went up higher so that I could get that nose piece up higher on my nose bridge, because the top of the mask is way up here, but the top of the nose piece is really down here. So that also puts my glasses outside of the, yeah, I'm still experiencing a lot of fog with these. Okay. I'm going to try one more thing, and that is I'm going to try putting the head strap up higher so that I get a little more tension in this direction, and see if that helps at all. Yeah. Okay, I don't know how much of this, just because I see so much fogging, usually it's a little more subtle than that. So I don't know how much of this is my deep set eyes versus maybe that foam that's well intended. I wonder if that's actually allowing for more escape. Yeah, so this foam being soft and springy, it's also, you know, pretty, I guess, porous, for lack of a better word. And I wonder if I'm getting some escape actually that's coming through there, because that's certainly not dense like polypropylene, even though you'd think it would compress wherever you're pushing on it, wherever the pressure points are. But, you know, just in the past, I know that when I have some leak around, like because of this concavity I have around my eyes, it doesn't seem to be quite as pronounced as this. So now that I've given a whole bunch of these away to my kids, I'm going to have to ask them to take a look at that and evaluate it carefully before they go out. Now, just to examine that, I figured I'll take out the foam. Now, I couldn't get it all the way off. It kind of came off in flakes and pieces, but I think I can get enough off that it'll give us an idea of how much of this is just my unique facial shape and how much of it is that bar, because for the most part that bar is now gone. So I'm going to put that back on. Again, I'm going to get everything situated with the tension where I want it. I'm going to make sure to have this up pretty high up. I'm still getting some fog here, although I will say it's less. Let me see if I can't get some more adjustment. Yeah, I'm getting a fair amount of it. So, maybe this is just me with my own contour of my face. Now, in case you've got this already or you're thinking about it and it's working for you, I will do my water. Pouring the water all over the place. So I can't really show you without spilling, but I do have a whole lot of water just sitting in this respirator. I don't want to pour it out the side where that foam is because the foam will disrupt it. So I'm going to pour it all back in. And yeah, everything is dry out here. I've got some moisture here on the surface, obviously. Yeah, I've mentioned in a previous review that I saw on one of Aaron Collins' videos that, you can't really tell anything from the water testing. He did a test where he put the N95 into a glass and he poured water into it. And at the bottom, you saw all the water. It had gone through, but he didn't say how much time. I suspect that was over hours and hours. So polypropylene isn't watertight, but it should be slowing that water. So I do think it tells you something. When that water doesn't come through, like this is still dry, and I suspect I could go hours and hours before this would eventually seep through, but eventually if it's subjected to just being completely immersed, the polypropylene will start to break down. Yeah, so what can I say to sum up with this? I think it'd be one thing if the price was super competitive, but I did do a video already on the Indiana face mask, the IFM company. And I'm going to link that video here actually because their N95 respirator was about a quarter the price of this one. Maybe this is just my unique facial shape, but I'm just not able to get this situated. But, I think this is still a really good opportunity to point out just how important it is that you make sure that you can get a good fit, because just because it says N95 on it or whatever it says, just because it has the medium that it needs to filter, it also needs to be sealed in a way so that the air isn't going to go around it. In this case, I'm obviously getting a lot of air going around it, as evidenced by the leak in my safety goggles. And it's interesting because here's the Indiana Face Mask Company's N95 respirator. And I was curious, I was thinking, well, perhaps the Indiana Mask Company's product has a larger nose piece, because I tend to do better with longer nose pieces. But in fact, they don't, and I'm going to see if I can't show you. The top is the Indiana face mask. You're going to see all my makeup in my other mask. So here's Indiana face masks. That's the end of their nose piece. And here is Demetech's. So the Demetech is actually longer. Now, interestingly though, the Indiana face mask has a lot less space between the nose band and the top of the mask. See, the top of, well, the respirator. The nose band comes way up to the top here, as opposed to the Demetech. And with the Demetech, you can see there's this whole big strip, and down here is the nose piece. So I think that something about that is maybe creating the leak for me. The good news is that it doesn't seem to be related to that foam alone. So, what doesn't work for me might work for somebody else. I can't quarrel with its NIOSH approval. I know it's been through the testing that it needs. I like that it has stood up to the scrutiny of the regulatory standards. But, for me, this was just a miss because I can't make it fit in a way that's going to make it filter like it's supposed to. So in light of that, I'm glad we have other options. The Indiana Face Mask Company's product that I reviewed already at about a quarter the price. I'm so thrilled that that's the one that fits. And they did still give us a very nice discount. So let me know if this was helpful. And until next time, be well. Bye-bye.